You go out to Pisgah, it's like a religious experience.
This trail is incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
First ride.
Like, what? I'm not going on this, bro.
Today is the first stop on our cross-country road trip to teach my son to mountain bike. We're starting in Asheville, North Carolina, where we're going to get Tegan on the trails for the first time, see some friends, and get a mountain bike factory tour.
Here we go. Day one of the road trip. Bike built and ready to rip. What do you think?
Kind of feels like a motorbike, the way that the wheel sits out so far on the handlebars.
Let's do a test ride to the car.
Might need to lift the seat up a little bit.
Oh yeah, there's a button for that. Stand up and push in that lever.
Okay, this one on the left?
Yep. That's called a dropper post. Very nice looking bike.
Yeah. Very bouncy.
Now time to load him in the car. Is it gonna fit?
2 hours later.
Piece of cake.
Before we really get this trip underway, I wanted to have a little skills test with Tegan to assess his starting point on the bike. This will be the true test to see if he really watches his dad's YouTube videos. I had him go through a few basic skills just to get a feel for the bike, and I gave him a few pointers to help him adjust. He's a little sketchy, but I think he's got enough to get started. But there's one other thing that every mountain biker needs, which arrived just in time. So that's basically how I started riding trials. So this is the Crank Brothers M19 multi-tool. This is 19 tools in your pocket, which can basically do everything you could ever need to do while you're on the trail to your bike. This thing is super, super vital. I've been carrying one of these in my pocket for like decades. Jensen sent this to us, and we want to say a big thank you to them because they're helping us out with this road trip. If you want to help us out and support this channel, there's a link in the description below where you can actually get your own M19 tool from Crank Brothers. The very first stop of the trip was Chestnut Mountain, home of Burn Park. I had looked up some of the trails, and there were a few easy trails in here, so I figured it would be a chill place to kick things off. What I didn't realize that while there were easy trails here, you have to climb up a pretty steep and tight section to get there. Already we were off on the wrong foot, or I guess we were off the bike completely, with Tegan hiking his bike to the top. Not exactly how I wanted to start this trip, but once we got to the top of the mountain, it was fine.
Okay, this is your very first ever GoPro clip of all time on a bike.
The only problem was getting back down.
Like, what? I'm not going on this, bro. Like maybe that second one, but...
Just walk to the second one then.
I know, but...
It's okay, it's okay.
I know.
This is our first time. You gotta start somewhere.
We packed up and moved on to Kanuga Bike Park, where I knew we could find some less technical and flowy trails.
We have arrived. This is Kanuga Bike Park, and this is the first place on the tour where we're going to get a chance to use our loan pass. So we're going to head inside and go check in, see what this place is all about. So this is the loan pass, and basically it's a one-time pass that you buy, and then you get access to all kinds of bike parks and shuttles all over USA. So we're going to check in right now, we're going to scan this, and then we'll be good to go for all-day riding today and for the rest of the trip. Loan passes have been helping us out, so this is our first ever time using it. Should be awesome.
Kanuga delivered the goods, but just like most bike parks out there, you have to earn your turns. I'm all for the fitness that comes with an analog bike, but one thing that I definitely underestimated was the fitness that it requires to be able to pedal uphill repeatedly. Tegan started getting leg cramps after so much climbing, and I knew we were hitting another wall in our forward progress. Thankfully, Kanuga had a solution to help us out.
So we finished lap 1, but it was a little bit of a struggle on the uphill, so because my whole goal of this trip is for Tegan to have a really good time and love mountain biking, I got an e-bike for him just to make the uphills a little bit easier, and hopefully this makes this whole ride a bit more fun. I'm keeping it real on the analog bike, but he's going to try an e-bike for the first time just to get him up to the top of the hill, and then we'll flip it off and he can have the real fun. He's an e-biker now. How was that?
Pretty good. It's I haven't gone full assist just because I like also biking, but it's honestly for beginners like me, it's a good first it's a good intro into it, so you aren't totally exhausted and oh, all my muscles hurt, this is so lame. It's like a good assist.
I'm not really opposed to e-bikes at all, but obviously we can only fit so many bikes in the van. In this scenario, where we're trying to get a first-time rider excited about the sport, having the option to remove the suffering of uphill climbing was a game changer for him. I think this is exactly the right tool to help people get into the sport of mountain biking. If anything, it gives them a preview of what mountain bike fitness could feel like, and we got to skip over the hard part so that he could arrive at the top of the trails fresh and ready to rip.
Good for uphill.
After a big day of riding, we decided that it was time to take a break and switch things up a bit.
So since we're in the area, we're going to visit Industry 9 components. These are the wheels that are on my bike and on pretty much every bike that I own. And we're going to get a tour of the assembly facility from my friend David.
The Industry 9 assembly facility reminded me of a candy shop with all the bright colors and fancy parts. We get so accustomed to seeing the final product online or on people's bikes, but I think it's important to show the behind the scenes of a place like this, just so you can see how many people are working hard to put out high quality bike parts. Even with all the technicians assembling stuff, they do have some level of automation, like this robot that helps tighten spokes and true all the wheels before their final inspection. The highlight of our first stop was meeting up with our friend Seth, who you might recognize from Burn Peak. He's been a supporter of the channel since we started, so it was fun to finally meet up and ride together. Seth had the perfect trail in mind for Tegan to start.
You go out to Pisgah, it's like a religious experience. This is more like casual
Mountain bike spot.
but it's proper single track. And so this is going to be, because you were at what, Kanuga and Chestnut?
Yep, yeah, like proper bike parks, yeah.
Proper bike, I would say that this is going to be his first real single track experience, and it's a good first single track experience.
That's exactly what we need, because I feel like Chestnut is a place to start, kind of put him in a little bit over his head. Kanuga was really nice because it was real flowy and everything.
Totally.
The uphills definitely kind of crushed him. And I think that was actually one of the mistakes I made, was like thinking that, yeah, I can teach him how to ride, because I can teach him the technical stuff, but the cardio, like how your body actually responds when you're riding, no chance.
We have some options, but we're going to take him on a pretty smooth downhill. It's like a lot of bang for your buck.
Sweet.
But it doesn't feel as bike parky. It's like, it's fun.
This trail is incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
This first couple days of the trip is the most important to me, because I want to get him excited about it so that as we continue on, he continues to like build on that. If I don't get it right out of the gate, I'm nervous that he's just gonna like switch off, you know?
Yeah.
We've got a renewed sense of momentum after riding with Seth, so hopefully we can carry that to the next stop on our tour, Howler Bike Park in Branson, Missouri. Check out the next video in this series to see how it went.